Hello and welcome back, artists and designers. In this video we're going to talk about applying some different profiles to our strokes, whether we're creating them with a pencil or any other tool that makes a stroke. In this case we're going to go ahead and use the pencil since we talked about in the last video. Let me go ahead and make sure that I select the appropriate layer. There we go. So we had some things from the last video. Let's go ahead and get rid of all of those things for right now. And let's start with another line here. So I'm going to grab my pencil tool, and again I have my smoothing set, so let's go ahead and just draw a nice little curve like that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this line, and you know that of course you can crank up that stroke, and what I want to do is I want to explore this menu inside of stroke here. So if you click on this word, you're going to notice there are a whole bunch of things in this menu, and I want to show you here, if you don't want to be clicking on this word, since we're going to use this menu quite a bit, if you don't have the stroke menu open right here, you might want to have this panel open so that you can work with that a little bit. So now that I have this opened up, let's click on a couple of these things. You got the round cap, which rounds out those points, which is kind of nice. You can go back to the butt cap there if you like. And then you have the other big thing is the profile. So let's go ahead and draw another line. So I'm going to draw another line here. And I'm going to go down and I'm going to select a different profile. So this is what's called a tapered profile. That has a taper on both ends, and it creates that really nice kind of smooth look to your line. So take a look at that one and then test out maybe a couple other options. So if I select this and I make a copy of it here, and let's try another profile. Let's maybe try the thick to thin one right here. And that also has the rounded cap that comes with it. You can see it's round on the end, and if I crank this up, that has a nice little look to it. Let's draw a couple things with the pencil tool. So if I kind of connect up with that line, you go, wait a second, that just went back to that basic one. Isn't that annoying? I just had this one selected. Can't I keep going with this profile? If I do this pencil line again, nope, it defaults back to the basic. So let's talk about how do we switch that. If you select a profile that you want to work with in the pencil tool, how do we keep that going? So go ahead and delete those for a second. And I'm going to go right over here to the appearance panel, and this is where the problem is. So if you don't see this panel, go up to the window menu, make sure that you check appearance. This should pop up here somewhere. And I don't have anything selected, and what I'm going to do right now on this panel is click on these three lines, and here's our problem. New art has basic appearance. So every time we draw a line with the pencil tool, it's going to default back to the basic. So I'm going to go ahead and click this so that now it's unchecked, if I see that again. Okay, so it's unchecked. So now if I select this line, let's see, and go to the pencil tool, it might not do it the first time. So let's try this out. If I draw right here, aha, it did. It kept that line. So if I do this, so it's going to stick with that style until I go and select a different one. For example, let's pick this one. And then if I draw with that, it's going to use that profile until I select another one. So that's a really good trick to be able to know. You go in that appearance panel and click on those three lines and make sure that you adjust that option right there. That way, once you have the pencil strokes set up the way that you like them, or anything set up the way that you like it, it's going to kind of keep going back to that one until you tell it to actively change. Okay, let's try a couple more things out here. I'm going to draw another line or two, so let's make another line here, and it's again defaulting to that. Let's pick another one. Let's go with this one here. Let's narrow this out a little bit. And then I will show you that you have arrowheads. So these are some built-in ones here. If I click on that, it's going to add an arrowhead. Now this looks really big. You can, of course, adjust that if you like. So you can make that a little bit smaller. You can add a tail to it if you want. Again, this is something that I rarely do, but maybe you'll find some use for it. That one came out really big. It's also not lining up with it, but if I make it a little bit smaller, there we go. It's working a little bit better. Now, if I draw another line, that should come up to be pretty much the same thing. And it's going the other direction. If you don't like that, flip it. There you go. You can flip the direction of those things. So there's some other things to play around with in there too. Let's check out one more thing that's pretty neat. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go back to our basic. Let's get rid of this. I don't want any sort of arrowhead on this, so let's clear those out, and did that on that one. It was still selected. Let's try a dotted or dashed line. So I'm going to go ahead and make a line here, and I'll go ahead and set the profile to uniform. Sorry, I could have done it right there. Old habits die hard. And I'm going to go ahead and let's do the butt cap one, and then I'm going to click on dashed line down here, and I think by default it's probably going to give you something that maybe looks like this. So whatever the thickness of your line is there, we got about a 12-point dash, and then the gap is the space between that. So the more I kind of crank that up, the more space I have, and the more I cut that down, the narrower that's going to be. And same thing here for the length of that. I can kick that up, or I can kick it down depending on how I want my dotted line to look. And you can even get more detailed and have dots and dashes and different spaces. It's up to you. Now if you want it round, we're going to go up and hit the round cap, and you can see it already goes round. And here's the trick, is you go all the way down to 0 here, and then you just start to experiment with your gaps. So if you want a dotted line, you can get it in that method. And the cool thing is this will also apply a profile. So if you have a dotted line and you want to make it that thick to thin, well, it went away for a second here, but if I crank this gap up there, I think we're back at where we want to be. So you can create that really nice dotted line effect. Ah, it just went away again. My goodness, I'm not sure what's happening. There we go. I think I have to maybe, let's click dash line here. Oh, I'm not sure what's happening with that. 20. Give me my dotted line, and let's go back over here. Okay, I think it's stayed put. Now if I draw a new line, that dotted line is going to come with me, which is kind of cool. So lots of things to explore in that stroke panel. You can either use this right here or click on the word stroke, and you're going to see all of those options in there, primarily the profiles. Play around with those. They add a really nice look to it. They kind of take away from being that really basic pencil line that we started out with up here. You've got the double taper, the directional taper, the arrowheads, and the dotted lines, all sorts of fun stuff to explore. And we didn't even get to color, so you can add color to that function as well. So have fun, play around with the different stroke profiles in there, and I'll see you in the next video.